It's a great pleasure to be here, and congratulations to everyone who spoke ahead of me. My name is Hardeep, otherwise known as H, a single initial. I am a storyteller and founder of Age of the Steward, a storytelling platform. Let's consider our current imprint as the Anthropocene. We know what that means, the human imprint upon the planet. For thousands of years was perhaps more favorable than the time we find it in now. When we think of how we live in our ecosystems, on our land, with each other, we are clearly out of sync. Age of the Steward is an invitation to a wider, broader collective identity that shifts away from the consumer towards caretaking, custodianship, guardianship. These are stories and narratives within our traditions that have a much longer history. So why do I create Age of the Steward? Because it's a storytelling platform. What are the stories that we have told ourselves that have got us into this current state of affairs? I hope Age of the Steward, along many other story platforms out there, are wiser siblings to the Anthropocene. This is a beloved quote from Braiding Sweetgrass. I'm sure most of us know of this. Each person, human or no, is bound to every other in a reciprocal relationship. Just as all beings have a duty to me, I have a duty to them. The central story of the consumer has been the predominant one in our industrial revolution, in pursuit of more, ever cheaper, ever greater. We have led to a certain bankruptcy of self and planet. Our desires, our dreams, our creativity, imagination has been extracted from us through smart algorithms and sold back to us in the form of pens, shoes, shelves, airplane tickets. The invitation is to go back to reciprocity and relationality. No more the consumer who is adrenalized and invited to buy their desires, but rather someone who takes care of self, of relationships, of planet. The invitation is to look at which part of the ecosystem within which we live and thrive can we care for, not consume our way through, but actually be stewards of ourselves. Growth, the great story, more, more, more. We know what growth really means. It's cancer, it's weed, it's uncontained, uncontrollable. None of us want this to be the legacy we bequeath to ourselves or the legacy that our ancestors think of. Time is a funny thing. The invitation is for regeneration. This is a regeneration of land, of people, of place, of spirit and soul. Choose whichever words speak to you most. What do we retrieve from the past? What do we retrieve from the future in the present moment? A call from the future, perhaps. Dominance, the single person at the top, a few at the top. Can we find new metaphors? Can we weave, web, network, flow towards and across each other? The invitation is for interdependence, a state we know only too well. Look at each of us here, a leaf upon a great branch of the tree of life. All is connected. So that is my invitation, said in the words of Robin Wall Kimmerer. An integral part of a human's education is to know those duties and how to perform them. The duties are of the steward, the caretaker, the custodian, the individual who asks not what can I consume or take, what can I take care of? For that which I take care of takes care of me. With that, I end.
I mean, my question is, H, where can we learn more about Age of the Steward? Where can we find more of your work? Where can we find your podcast, your all this kind of stuff?
Thank you for taking the time to listen. So if you literally look up Age of the Steward on the great internet, you will discover it. We're recording still. So all the platforms. I encourage you to come to speak with me, discuss, share what resonated. I'm also seeking to create in-person invitations and experiences and events much like these. But yes, you will find me on the interwebs.
Perfect. Apart from the claps, any other questions? Oh, yes, Joey.
I have one. So, how would your research and insight inform us in a society where relationships are quite fragmented? For example, high rates of divorce, and also, for example, when I come from China, we had a whole generation of human experimentation in one-child policy, where we end up only having one child taking care of, two sons of parents. How would your, stewardship philosophy help that in that regard?
So one thing I would say, it's not mine, it is ours, right? And I think this story that we've forgotten, that we don't know what to do, that we don't know what it is to connect, that we don't know what it is to have good relationships. I mean, this is like a modern kind of storytelling that we're seeing in our media, even in our news stories as well, is that fundamental things. A human is relational. I am not me unless everyone else is here, right? So this might sound big and philosophical, but we know in our lives what it is to have good, healthy relationships. We know what it is to connect with other people very well. Look at what's working in your life already. Where do you embody the values around care, attention? Where in your life are you already pretty good at decentering yourself just for a moment to create space for someone else? Look at how you cultivate that and see where else you can replicate it in your own life. There's an analogy that I really like, or metaphor. Tend to the part of the garden you can reach. So I will not speak to global macro trends. Look at in the place and the space you find yourself in. Where can your gaze and your touch be regenerative through its presence and action? Thereafter, the ripple is real.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
Thank you, H. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone who spoke. Thank you, everyone who showed up. Thank you, everyone who bought a ticket. We're new to organizing talks. We're new to charging for tickets, and it means a lot that many of you bought a supporter ticket, not just a ticket, and because that allows us to give other tickets cheaper. And now that we're not meeting in a pub anymore, we need insurance. And we need to figure out what we're going to do next. And please talk to the regulars. If you're new here, if you want to be more involved, if there's something you see here or hear here that you think you could help make more of, we're really open to that, all of us. And it would be really great to figure out what, as we head into 2026, this space belongs actually to the General Assembly of Unitarian and Free Churches. This is their headquarters. This was their dissenting place of worship for 300 years. It was illegal for many years for them to be here, and then eventually it was legal, and then it was it was bombed down in the Second World War and built up in the 1950s as whatever this is. And it's due to be refurbished in the new year. And we've been invited to keep on meeting here. We're not quite sure for how long, as part of their experiments with what happens with this space, as they try to figure out how to make it a center for, well, they're all about the dissenting voices. They're all about what are the other stories we might tell? What are the different ways of thinking we might have? And it's really kind of them to let us have this place and to just leave me with the keys. And yeah, we're really open to any suggestions of what we might do and any offers of help to escalate what this could be. One of the things is, Long Now is a fantastic organization founded in San Francisco in the 1990s. What we found is going on here in London seems to be Long Now with London characteristics. Sorry, Joe, to do the Chinese thing. But yeah. So yeah, and Yan got the joke. Yeah, it is. There's something about being on these islands on the edge of this continent that is a different perspective in all ways. And something we're really interested in is how can we join conversations with people elsewhere in the world, not to tell them how to do things, but to hear how things are where they are, and then cross-reference and maybe form some kind of network, sort of global sense, like the sort of, we want to see further into space, form a larger sensor array across the Earth. You want to see further into the future and further back into the past. Maybe we need to be having these conversations all over the world in different languages, in different cultures, and then talk about it once a year and see what we can do. And yes, it's just conversations, but action follow. Everything starts with a conversation, right? So that's the hope. Starting, as H says, with the thing in front of us, which is please have conversations. Speak to someone you haven't already met, please, after this. At some point, you may head over the road to the pub, but for now, let's just hang out here, and thank you so much for coming. Can the speakers stand up, please? Can the speakers just stand up? Speakers stand up and we clap them. There we go, there we go. Awkward moment, there we go. Thank you. Rena, she's over there as well. Woo! Thank you.
Really big thank you,
What?
Chris and Jamie, for putting it, for getting us all together and getting you in this room. Thank you.